versus power. The Electricity Company of Ghana has it all to do this afternoon in agreeing a structure on how it will pay 60 out of the $900 million it owes Sana Nazugli by close of next week. In the current circumstances, it is the only way the largest power retailer can avert load shedding or doom so. You recall that the independent power producer, Sana Nazugli, had threatened to shut down the plants only to postpone by a week the decision after an agreement with the finance minister to have some payments made to them. Hence, this afternoon's meeting will take you there live shortly. But first, let's put into perspective Sana Nazugli's contribution to Ghana's energy mix. Now, I've been sharing with you events that are to take place today, a meeting between Sana Nazugli and ECG. Now, this meeting is to essentially avert doom so on our hands. And this is the reason that that meeting is important. We know that ECG owes Sana Nazugli about $900 million. An agreement has been reached to pay $60 million of that amount in 2 tranches over the next 2 weeks. The first tranche should be $30 million to be paid this week. And so this meeting will determine when this week, because it's Friday, you have to keep that in mind. It's Friday, it will determine whether or not ECG has been able to pay that $30 million or something else could be afoot. But a second tranche should come next week, also $30 million to be paid by December 11th, 2023. Now, Sana Nazugli, if you're unaware, gives us a chunk of the 3,205 megawatts we consume as a country. At peak hours, the peak demand that we get on our national grid is 3,549 megawatts. But like I told you earlier, it's about 3,205 that is produced on the national grid. Sana Nazugli gives us 560 megawatts, about 17.5% of the 3,000 plus that we need as a country. So if Sana Nazugli goes off, we are losing 17.5% of our total production. And let me put that into perspective for you. What that means is we could have the entire Accra, we could have the entire Shanti Regional Capital, Kumasi, go off. Now, let that sink in. But let's get onto the phone lines and speak to the Executive Director of the Institute for Energy Security, Nana Amwesi, the 7th. Thank you, Nana, for joining us here.
Thanks for having me this afternoon. Good afternoon to you.
Absolutely.
And to your viewers.
Nana, obviously, this meeting is really crucial. ECG had this week to pay $30 million. It's unclear what's going to happen. But what do you expect from both parties?
Unfortunately, your line is cranky. I could barely hear you.
And I'm asking what you expect from both parties in this meeting.
Well, our understanding is that government owes Sana Nazugli in excess of $900 million. And as to when they initiated a move to shut down last Tuesday, government intervened. And as we speak today, part of that money has been paid last Tuesday. And Sana Nazugli is expecting to be paid the balance come next Tuesday. And so from this meeting, there is nothing to expect than to what we has already been agreed on, that Sana Nazugli will be paid in full by Tuesday. I don't know why ECG is intervening at this moment, probably to vary the initial agreement government had with Sana Nazugli. But it's too early to make that call. Let's wait till the end of the meeting. But then the most important thing is Sana Nazugli is today bent on collecting what government owes it. And the government feels and they pull up the plug, we know how much it will impact on the national grid. 550 megawatts
Indeed
represents a little more than 10% of our national installed capacity. And if you understand the Sana Nazugli system very well, it's very, in terms of reliability, it's very high. In terms of efficiency, it's also high. And so pulling that plug off means a lot for us, you and I
see.
If we have to have power tomorrow.
Now, I'm trying to understand, have you analyzed why ECG is unable to pay its debts? Its debts, I beg your pardon.
The ECG unable to pay or ability to pay lies on its own initiative to ensure that they're able to collect the revenue. The power you and I consume, they must be able to collect that bill and collect that revenue and make sure that it is placed into the cash water flow mechanism where it will be distributed fairly to all the utility providers. And so ECG must go ahead with its enhanced revenue collection, and you and I should be ready to also pay our part and not to steal power.
Right, but the truth of the matter also is that they embarked on revenue collections, I believe last month or a couple ago, where they raised billions of cedis, and still their debts have not been paid. Is it a lack of willingness on the part of ECG to pay?
I couldn't get the end of it, but if you are talking about what they started last 2 months, their revenue mobilization drive, then we'll appeal to ECG that they should deepen this exercise, particularly when we are going into the Christmas. It's a period where we record one of the highest, peak demand. And so even as consumers expect to get power, we should be willing on our part to also, deliver our part of the bargain and pay what we must pay to ECG and the entire grid system. ECG must ensure that everybody that owns it is able to collect the money, because we can't expect that almost a quarter of the money we're expecting from IMF is going to go to Asona Sagri. And so they should deepen that exercise.
I see, Nana. I don't know if it's a good time for us to pay more tariffs, but that's all the time we have on our conversation. Thank you so much for your time. Nana Amwesi the 7th is an energy analyst. We've been talking about the situation between ECG and Sanan Azagli threatening electricity supply to you and I.
We're staying on the conversation on energy, this time on lithium, because the former Minister of Lands and Natural Resources under the NDC administration, Yunus Hussaini, has warned that a future NDC government will have no option than to terminate the lithium mining lease agreement between government and Barari DV Limited. A 250 million project located at Ewoya in the Infantiman municipality of the Central Region is set to commence production by 2025. The deal includes a 10% royalty and 13% free carried interest by the state, surpassing the existing 5% and 10% respectively for other mining agreements. But the contract, since coming into public domain, has attracted sharp criticism, especially from the minority caucus in Parliament, who think it is a rip-off. Let's first listen to the Lands Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor, who's been justifying again the agreement as signed by the government.
Has a free carried interest of 13%. MIF is participating at 6%. It works up to what? 19%. And therefore, you are right in saying that what happens to the 11%? The plan and the policy is that whatever participation beyond foreign participation should now be Ghanaian participation. The 19% is state participation, as you know. 13% obviously will be held by the state. So 19% is state participation. So the 11%, which then takes us to the minimum of 30%.
That's the current Lands Minister, Samuel Abu-Jinapor. Let's speak to the former Lands Minister, Yunus Hussaini, who says a future NDC government will forfeit that deal. Mr. Hussaini, many thanks for speaking to us this afternoon. And so it's been a continuous insistence on the part of government that this is a good deal for the Ghanaian people. It's the best deal ever on the table. Why the continuous argument from you in the NDC as well that this is not such a great deal like the government says? Mr. Hussaini, can you hear me?
Hello?
Yes, I'm asking why on the part of the NDC you continue to make the argument that this contract or the clauses within the contract do not serve the best interests of the country.
Well, first of all, I think that we need to look at the contract carefully. This contract is in the old regime of royalties. Yes, there have been some minimal benefits, increases in benefits coming to Ghana by reason of the increases in royalties payments and the carried on interest. We've gotten about 6% interest in the whole deal with the Ferrari. But we have not optimized the benefits that can come to Ghana. And so, insofar as the contract remains the same, the NDC as a political party will look at it when we come into power.
Isn't that a bit hasty, your statement that you look at this when the NDC comes into power? Because the minister has alluded to the fact that the agreement will have to go to Parliament for ratification. Don't you trust that enough work can be done there to ensure that it serves the best interests of the country? Yeah, so it has to go to Parliament. It is not yet in Parliament. So, and we are speaking on the basis of the present status quo, that there's a contract is still work in progress. It is anticipated that the contract will come into full operation somewhere in June. That is the anticipation. By December, we will go into elections. There's the possibility, real likelihood of a change in government. And we're saying that with the present arrangement in the contract, carefully, the contract will be looked at. You see, lithium is the next big thing in energy transition. Because even at COP, the minister was at COP. COP is looking at energy transition. And lithium is going to be the critical mineral to assist in the energy transition, like the creation of lithium batteries. And so you can still do an arrangement or an agreement that is looking to the old ways of doing things when things have changed. Right. The next big thing, that's the argument that's been made. The next big thing, but as a people and as a country, you've invested very little into prospecting and being able to find the lithium in the quantities that it is that we've seen. Somebody has brought their money. They've done that work, and the government says after the work they've done, they're handing them the percentage, 70%. What's the argument? You should be investing, some would say. Well, first of all, why do we have the Geological Survey Authority? They clearly haven't done the work. Because I remember when I was in office, we had invested significantly into the Geological Survey Department. At that time, department, we changed it into authority, and they were carrying out photos, mapping of minerals and mineral deposits in this country. Has it stopped? It is government saying that that activity of the Geological Survey Authority has stopped. And so they have to consign the responsibility of mapping out the minerals and determining the quantity of lithium deposits that we have to a foreign investor. Is that what they want us to believe? Well then, I'm sure this conversation is one that will continue to go on and on, even as the deal is expected to go into Parliament. But Mr. Fusheni, many thanks for speaking to us. That's the former Lands and Natural Resources Minister, Alhaji Yunusa Fusheni. But let's walk you through the importance of lithium. You heard them say it's the next big thing. And it is essential for the production of batteries used in electric vehicles, and a key component in the batteries that power our smartphones, laptops, tablets, and other portable electronic devices. That's what lithium is being used for right now, and it's playing a crucial role in storing energy generated from renewable sources such as wind and solar power, while also being used in the treatment of bipolar disorder, a mental health condition characterized by extreme mood swings. And another health importance also being explored for potential use in treating dementia and Alzheimer's disease. And so that's why it is such a big deal. It's a conversation that I mentioned that it will continue, and we here will continue to follow it for you.
will now take you outside to the national capital, to the Ashanti regional capital, Kumasi, where there is anger among residents of the Ashanti regional capital following last night's accident, which claimed one life at Angloga Junction. Some traders were stuck under the wreckage after a fully loaded truck negotiating a curve at Angloga Junction towards the airport runabout somersaulted. After hours of trying, the trapped people were rescued, with many of them sustaining injuries. An eyewitness, Ken Entry, provided more detail.
Amount that makes sense. Let's also not forget that we have signed take-or-pay agreements at 100%. And at 100%, we are not using all these power plants at 100%. We are mostly using these power plants at 60%. So if you're using the power plant at 60%, the other 40% that doesn't go through the tariff, who is going to cover that shortfall? So the problem has never been ECG, as we've always been putting it, but the problem has been with the kind of power purchase agreements and how they were structured. Now, in restructuring all of them, we have come to an understanding where it will have a progression, and we are doing our best to reduce all the 100% take-or-pay PPAs to a much more sustainable 60% with a progression to the point where when we can consume all of these PPAs at 100% and then we'll be liable. Other than that, you take a typical invoice from an IPP, you have a standing fixed cost of almost $20 million, whether you use the power plant or you don't use the power plant.
Okay.
With that means you're always going to be in a hole.
We're running out of time on this one, so I want you to do many things in one. What is the success rate of that renegotiations of the IPPs that you want?
I'll say 75%.
75%. I see.
Yes,
the other thing I want you to talk about is this debt that we owe is over what period, and the 1.5 reduction that the PURC announced. Given that you're unable to pay in dollars in full, how would this affect your books?
So with the 1.5, it's manageable through this whole negotiation with the IPPs. So the success rate will be in the renegotiations that we are doing with the IPPs. Now the debt is from last year to somewhere around June. The debt that we are talking about is last year to somewhere around June.
I see. We'll leave it here for now. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Samuel Mahama is Managing Director of ECG, who tells us that there's nothing to worry about. $30 million has been paid. Structure has been agreed with Sana Nazagli and, in fact, the other IPPs. And, well, would have electricity for a long time to come. We'll be right back.
We're learning that the Ghana Union of Traders Association is now willing to sit with government after the suspension of the law that sought to restrict the import of some goods and food items. Minister of Information Kojo Ponkroma on Thursday confirmed the Export and Import Regulations 2023 bill will not be sent to Parliament to pave way for further stakeholder discussions. Let's speak to the president of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, who's insisting a clear roadmap would have ensured the success of the bill's implementation. Doc, many thanks that you could join us this afternoon. So the government says it suspended the laying of the bill to allow for broader consultation. You say a clear roadmap could have prevented all of this. What will be the difference that you want to see should the government ever want to return this LI to Parliament?
So whatever we are saying has turned out to be true. That whatever strategy that we are adopting to enhance on local productivity was wrong, and that we do not put ahead restrictions ahead of the objectives. And this is exactly what we were talking about. That we have to build the necessary roadmaps and timelines that will help the local industry to succeed in that quest, rather than limiting us. In any case, we have also said that we will not submit ourselves to any issuance of permits in this era of liberalization, and that the only way forward is to make sure that we boost, we do everything. We put the necessary measures to make local industries be competitive and be able to produce in abundance where we would necessarily buy from local sources rather than traveling abroad. So it's a natural sequence. If you're able to do the right things and we show up production at competitive pricing, like cement is already having a field day in Ghana, biscuit is also following suit, the ceramics works are also following. That's the way to go. So we have to create the proper enabling environment, make sure that we are able to produce abundantly at effective costing. That's the only way that we can ensure that we are industrializing our nation.
This simply means that you're not going to subject yourself to any of the consultation, because the idea behind the bill is to seek to restrict importation, and you say you're not going to be subjecting yourself to any licensing regime, and the suggestions you've been laying bare, it presupposes that you don't want to be a part of any further consultation, as the government has put it.
We'll do consultation, but issuance of permits will be out of the table. Because what is the objective? The objective is to make sure that we industrialize the nation. We show up our local productivity, be competitive for locals to patronize the made in Ghana goods. Is that not the objective? And so whatever we do to make sure that we achieve that aim, we are going to be at the table to discuss to achieve that. But anything short of that, that is going to tell us to submit ourselves to any issuance of permit and all that is a cake. It's not in conformity with modernity. You understand? We are in an era of liberalization. So that one is out of the table. We are not going to queue for any permit. Neither are we going to subject ourselves to vetting.
Right.
Because we want to trade. No, we are not going to do that. That one, we have made it so clear to Parliament when we visited Parliament, and we are there's no compromise on that.
Right then, Doc. I think the point is quite well made. I appreciate that you could speak to us this afternoon. That's Dr. Joseph Obey, the president of the Ghana Union of Traders Association.
Let's go to the Volta region now, where the DCE of Northong, Osborne Pernu, says despite the improved situation at Mepe and its environs, more work needs to be done, especially regarding accommodation. Schools use the safe havens have reopened, impacting education and shelter for the people in the area. Emmanuel Samani has joined us via telephone to tell us more about the situation. But before we speak to Emmanuel, let's take a listen to Osborne Pernu, the DCE.
The water has receded. Those places where there are still stagnant water that have not moved yet, the Navy has come in through the government to pump the water out. And so things are getting back to normalcy. But you see, there are challenges that we must all address, and that is what we are all trying to address. Government, individuals and private sector are helping to do that.
Right. So let's talk about one of the safe havens, for example. There's a school that was using some of the safe havens. The school has resumed. What's next?
Yeah, so the school has resumed. It's not only that school, but that is a senior high school that is being used as the safe.
Emmanuel Samani is joining us via phone to tell us more about the situation. Emmanuel, what can you report regarding this circumstances you've come across?
Well, many thanks for your time. So the situation here in Mepe, particularly in the former safe haven, is quite dire, especially when you're talking about the education of, these kids here. A brief trip to one of the basic schools, that is the Mepe RC Basic School, shows that there are some individuals still squatting in the very, buildings where teaching and learning is actually going on. And so what is happening is that they have, demarcated some of the classroom blocks
some for the students and others for individuals who've lost their homes. And so it's not the best environment. The environment is not conducive at all, because what that means is that you are cramping up a lot more kids in each classroom. So the assistant headmaster tells me that, for example, one class holds about 45 students. And so now what they're doing is that they're adding, 2 classrooms to form one. So you have 90 kids in one classroom, which is not exactly conducive for teaching and learning. And so that is the current situation here at the, Mepe RC Basic School.
Emmanuel, thank you so much for your time on this. Emmanuel Samani has been explaining to us the circumstances that residents and students in Mepe find themselves in.
Onto our special feature series for today, and more women are braving the odds to contest in this year's District Assembly elections. Victoria Swansea is one of them, contesting in the Amanful electoral area. She wants to bring local governance to the doorstep of the people through development. There's more in this report.
District Assembly about Kona Kovoti. Eligible voters in Ghana must go and vote. The progress of your community is right in your hands. Mantam Puntionia, Kona Kovoti.
Mepede me assembly woman day. Yes, soon, ma'am. Besibia ranko assembly.
No woman has ever contested in the Amanful electoral area. That's why I'm contesting.
Inti num afia akwanja bade. Wopede wasana ye wokobium. Nam so no. Mepede mukobi wo musonu ha.
Meet 44-year-old Mami Ketse, also known as The Go, an aspiring assemblywoman in the Amanful electoral area.
Yes, no man. You put to ayato mama to be ambaha.
Lack of development in my community is pushing me to do more for residents, especially children.
Basa, why the man no yamatete? Intime pedeng, must what home, ma'am. Namoko assembly ho. Na makasafa yehu no boyen o yesu no.
According to her, sanitation, putting in place measures to tackle tidal waves from destroying communities in her electoral area and improving the well-being of members in her community will be top of her agenda. The Amanful electoral area has been grappling with the plastic waste menace, with some residents dumping plastic bottles close to the sea. The Go also intends to help put in place measures to halt the destruction of communities by tidal waves in the Amanful electoral area.
Sisi ade menyu rekese kra no. Say eboto menyima akwa round to krampa. Yepon we bubinum wodan.
The sea waves have destroyed this community. I will help solve this problem.
Asomdwe ba so yenye bia momboen anadmon po ede wo ba na wo bohwe. Inti the minti no ma nyina menya hodo de mepede moko na de ma atoye nchim ba mo hwema bibia akodo wo moso ma.
Her campaign team is solidly behind her.
And the new years or your back kudufu or your nipa or crankofo buano or I am ye or wabade or I am shishi ewo nipa.
She is bold, courageous, and compassionate. The men have disappointed us. We want a woman to contest.
Bremana we Guinness siaran. Ami mkeru hu nyina mohwa oba oye ya santos no breman. Nenyo yezin. No ho yezin. Na no so atu. Onu so obu na na azibia obi se bia nsa baka.
She is brave and will achieve her set plans for this community.
Nenyo so amanfo me yere hwehwen. Yen so azu hu na ye hwehwen. You said to my account.
and she has the support of residents in her electoral area, especially from the men.
What man can do, woman can do it also.
Impa beye bisu entu man ye ni nyina nti ye pede nya ni mbesiafi ya ma mi besie okwo na no so okwo parliament wo bi no aka fa bibi papa no azaba manfo mbamranti amba no so ina ketesi amba no so yesu yehunda ye.
Despite the insults and criticism, the goal remains focused and unperturbed.
Mansido bia yam de nemmom sekra matin there was there manko school.
They say I'm uneducated because I can't speak English. I will speak fancy at the assembly.
Inti me pede mo kwa assembly na makaka fancy na bia hu de besi aba mo so ma baby.
When she's not campaigning, the Go runs a drinking spot in the Cape Coast metropolis. The drinking bar operator is optimistic she will be given the nod to serve the best interest of residents in the Amanful electoral area.
Wishing Victoria the very best. But it's time to break that record, and Ghanaian singer and entrepreneur Ifwa Asantewaa Eduonum plans to do just that, singing her heart away to Guinness World Record. If Ifwa manages to sing continuously for more than 110 hours, she will be the latest holder of the longest singing marathon by an individual. Right now, that record is held by Indian Sunil Wagmari, but Ifwa hopes by doing this, she can put the spotlight on local music.
Guinness World Records record attempt for the longest singing marathon by an individual is the project ahead that I intend to embark on. My name is Ifwa Asantewaa Eduonum. I really need your support, Ghanaians and worldwide, because this project is strictly to promote Ghanaian music. I'm singing for 117 hours, approximately 5 days, and I need you to rally behind me to make this record-breaking attempt a success.
I want to be talking for. Is there record for talking continuously for 110 hours? Because I can't sing to save my life.
You can't sing to save your life, but
should we put you on that?
No, I'm not sure I can do well with singing either. So maybe talking, we could challenge each other for talking.
Yes,
for
but we wish
hours.
the women the very best. Ifwa and Victoria. Yeah. Would you be at Ifwa singing a marathon to watch and dance?
5 days, I'm sure maybe
you pass through. By, yeah, New Central pass through.
We could pass by.
I wonder what she's going to...
And try and support. Just our presence could spare her on.
And she can't repeat a song. It has to be new songs.
New songs.
Every time the old one ends.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah. I don't want to say tough. It's going to be interesting.
But we've got over 3,000 songs for her to sing.
Yeah, we've got lots of songs.
Yeah, lots of songs indeed.
So that shouldn't be a problem at all for Ifwa.
Wow.
Wishing her the best and all of
I'm excited about this.
I am, truthfully.
We'll cover that here on New Central. Yeah.
Most definitely.
I'm Kamini Amano. Thanks for your company.
And I am Maureen Egbert. Enjoy the weekend. We're back again on Monday.